Good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in to this morning's Savage Saturdays. This, of course, is our first broadcast, and we thank each and every last one of you that have made a conscious decision to tune in on today. If you have not already, let's go ahead and let's like, comment, and let's share this morning's Savage Saturday. I believe is indeed going to be a blessing to somebody else. Also, if you have not already, let's go ahead and like, of course, like, comment, and share. Then turn back around and let's subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also make sure that you turn on the post notification bell so every time that we go live or post brand new content, you can make sure that you get that all important notification. Well, we're not going to delay on this morning. We're going to go ahead and get into today's topic. Of course, when I come to you on Saturdays, there will be no delay at all. We're going to get right into what we are going to be discussing and talking about. And of course, today's topic is 5 steps to effective relationship communication. 5 steps to effective relationship communications. You know, all of us, we want to be able to get what we want and when we want it, of course, especially when we are in a relationship or something like that. And what happens is sometimes when we talk to people or that express ourselves, we really don't get what we want. But there is a certain way that we can communicate the things that we desire to happen, and there's a certain way that we can get the things that we desire to get as well in this life, in all of our relationships. Now, when I begin to talk about relationships, I'm just not talking about boyfriend, girlfriend, just not talking about husband, wife, but whatever kind of relationship it is. It could be it could be with your kids. It could be with your parents. It could be with the boss on the job or something like that. And the thing is, it's just not us getting what we want from somebody else, but it's also making sure that we can give to others what they need as well. Because sometimes we have a desire to please those folks that we are in relationship to, and it's just not that. But we want to make sure that everything. We want to make sure there's a balance in those things that we give and those things that we get as well. Amen. Also, if you would, please make sure you share your comments with us on this morning as well. Also, once again, let's not forget to make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on the post notification bell as well. The first thing that we could do is that when we want to be effective in our communication within our relationships is, number one, be open-minded. Somebody type in the comments this morning, be open-minded. Open-mindedness, it involves receptive to a wide variety of ideas, arguments, and information. Being open-minded is generally considered a positive quality. It is necessary in order to think critically and also rationally as well. Sometimes when we get ready to communicate with somebody, we're real close-minded because we already know what they're coming to us about, and because we already know what they're coming to us about, we kind of get offended sometimes. And we don't want to hear it. We don't want to see it. We just don't want to deal with it. And even though sometimes we'll take the time to sit there and listen or hear to a person, but our mind is already closed up. Our mind is already saying, listen, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to say. And we don't take the time to listen to somebody else and be open-minded to what they got to say. A part of being open-minded is what I say to people all the time. Let's lay everything on the table. Lay everything on the table. And sometimes we're real aggressive in laying what we want on the table, but we don't allow others to lay things on the table as well. This is what they want. This is what they need, and give them the chance in order to express themselves and be open-minded pertaining to that. Because sometimes, even though our minds are closed up and our minds are closed off, sometimes the things that they express to us, we want the same things as well, but we must be open-minded. Somebody said be open-minded again. Number 2, we must be quick to listen. Somebody type in the comments this morning, quick to listen. It is important that we take the time just not to hear the person, but really listen to the person that's trying to communicate to us. And it's just not them trying to communicate to us, but then also the person that you are communicating to as well. You want them to be quick to listen as well. Sometimes what happens is when something is being communicated to us, we fly off the handle. We got something to say every trip of the train. We got a judgment call to make. We shut them down right then and there. In my lifetime, I really strive to be the kind of person, I take the time to listen. Somebody say take the time time to listen. I take the time to listen to what the other person has got to say, and I don't stop them unless it's just really, 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 really necessary for me to stop them. There's a friend of mine that I have, and we talk maybe once every 2 or 3 months or something like that. And what he would do, he would express to me, well, listen, this happened, this going on, and he always has a lot to say, and I allow him to express himself, even though I don't agree. Allow them to express themselves, even though you may not agree with what they are saying. And sometimes if they have a lot to say, sometimes you may want to get a pen and a piece of paper and write down the point that you want to make, the things that you need to go back and address. Now, every situation and circumstance, it does not work like that. It doesn't work like that. Sometimes you got to stop the person and then also interject what you need to say. But yet, still at the same time, you've got to monitor how you do that as well, because none of us, we like to be cut off. But when we take the time to listen to somebody else, it really it does them a lot of good. And then just like that, we want people to take the time to listen to us as well. I want to get my point out. I want to get my point across. I want to communicate to you the thing that's happening and going on in my heart. I want to make sure that I can get out what I need to get out. At the end of the day, when we are communicating, we don't want to be misunderstood. We don't want to be misunderstood, and we don't want other folks to misunderstand us as well. I am a real big on not being misunderstood with the things that I'm saying to somebody. So therefore, I try to make sure that everything I'm saying is real plain and is real clear. And I don't want to misunderstand the other party as well. And even when we are communicating back and forth, if there is indeed a dialogue that needs to happen at the a dialogue that needs to happen at that particular point in time, sometimes you may want to start listen, just to make sure I understand you right. This is what you need. This is what you are asking of me. Those things are very important. Watch this. So number one, we're going to be open-minded. Number two, we're going to be quick to listen. And number three, get an understanding. Somebody say get an understanding. The Bible says this right here: out of all of your getting, what? Get an understanding. And the thing is, the reason it is important to get an understanding, because it's some things that's communicated to us, and then when we communicate something to somebody else, if the understanding is not clear, what happens is this right here: we may do something we may do something that the other person really did not want us to do, or then they may do something that we did not want them to do as well. And so therefore, it is important during this communication process is that what we ask questions to make sure that we are clear on what the other person is asking and what's being asked of us, and then also the things what we're asking of them as well. Watch this right here. You got to evaluate what you want and then how it will benefit. Evaluate what you want and how it will benefit. Now, this benefit is just not how it's going to benefit you, but how it's going to benefit the other person as well. I believe that when we really want communication in relationships, it should not be selfish. Somebody say it should not be selfish. It should not be selfish, but real communication, it involves us getting on the same page, and just not getting on the same page, but then it's being beneficial as well. Sometimes we can get on the same page, but number one, it may not benefit us, and it may not benefit them as well. Excuse me. But the thing is this right here: we have got to make sure what is going to benefit both parties. Watch this right here. The outcome, you got to make sure there's an understanding of the outcome and what you're trying. And also, what you're trying to communicate, it should not be one-sided. It should not make either party miserable. Sometimes, even as it relates to children, sometimes they kind of deal like that. What happens is that what happens is this, right? We put something out on the table, and then the child, they have an understanding, or your husband, they have an understanding. Your wife, they have an understanding. They have an understanding as well. But the thing is, the understanding that you all have, it makes the other party sad. sad. It makes them miserable. It irritates them. So, have y'all been there before to where somebody, they got an understanding over to you, and you say, listen, I can't do this, but the thing is, you went ahead and you did it anyway, simply because of the fact, listen, we've got to do this in order to make things work, but you came out on the losing end. You came out being sad. You came out being irritated. You came out being miserable as well. But when we get an understanding, there should be a benefit for all parties per se, and it's not going to work out like that every single time, but most of the time, I believe, well, listen, if we do it this way, can we do this right here? We do it this way, I can make sure that this thing is done for you as well. There must be a good understanding on the things that we want to happen and the things that we want to take place as well. Number 4, if we're going to have good communication in our relationships, and I believe that this is a big on this morning, you got to watch your tone. Somebody say, watch your tone. It's very important that you watch your tone. You know, sometimes, especially when we are dealing with an emotional situation or an emotional circumstance or something like that, there's a certain kind of way that we want to communicate that to somebody else. Now, I may surprise some of you all when I begin to talk about watching the tone. Sometimes there's some things that requires a soft tone, and there's some things that require a lighter tone. Now, most of the time when people begin to talk about watching your tone, they simply say, well, don't express what you need to express in the way that you want to express it. But I believe that while you're communicating with somebody and talking to somebody, is that the tone must you must pre-evaluate the tone that you're going to take with that particular person. Even though you're real excited, even though you get into a frenzy sometimes, even though you know the other person, they can get real excited based on the things that you're going to say, and that's a God to honest truth. There are some people that we talk to, we already know they are going to fly off the handle, and also the way that we respond to the flying off the handle sometimes, what happens is this right here. It causes this argument where nothing gets done. It causes this chaos to where I feel bad and you feel bad, but it should not be like that. So therefore, before you even begin to communicate with the other party, you got to pre-evaluate the tone that you are going to take. You've got to evaluate the attitude of the person, or the known attitude of the person that you're trying to communicate as well. If you know that this is the kind of person, they get offended real quick. I'm not saying give up your right to express yourself in the way that you need to express it, but you have got to go to a start point that says, listen, we need to sit down and we need to have a talk, and this is what we are going to talk about. Now, number 1, you already know what they're going to be jumping, they're going to be screaming, they're going to be hollering, but you maintain your tone. You maintain your tone, and the thing is, when you maintain your tone, watch this right here, you can very well per se control. I really don't want to use the word control, but there's a possibility that you can have the conversation directed in the way that you need to direct that conversation in per se. Now, even though there are soft tones that we take sometimes, when we communicate with some people, there comes a point in time when you have got to take a more aggressive tone. And I believe that when you need to take a more aggressive tone when you're trying to communicate with somebody, I believe that you should not give up your right to do that. Let me say it again. I don't believe that you should give up your right to do that. Am I telling you to fly off the handle? No, I am not. Am I telling you to be mean? No, I am not. Am I telling you to be overly aggressive? I am not telling you that. And I guess the best way to explain that, of course, when I was growing up, I knew, even now, I know when my mother is serious. I know when there's something that she wants to say to me, and she mean what she's saying to me, and she want to use very few words with that. And sometimes what she would do, she would just call my name. She would say Aubrey Lee, because when she just say Aubrey Lee, I know that she is. I know that everything is okay. But she say Aubrey Lee, which there's a certain tone that she would use in order to communicate something to me. And the thing is this right here. You've got to know those times when you have got to be more aggressive in talking to somebody to get your point across per se. And the thing is this right here. You got to know that when you really need somebody to take you serious on a certain issue. One thing I come to find out in this life is this right here. When you begin to use an aggressive tone, if if you use an aggressive tone all the time, 9 times out of 10 people, they are not going to take you serious. If you use an aggressive tone all the time, if you feel like you got to be aggressive all the time, there's some people, they're not going to take you serious simply because they will say, this is just what you do. This is just who you are. And we never want to be that kind and that type of person to where we are always overly aggressive in the things that we say and the things that we do, because the thing is, it becomes of none effect to those people that we really need to communicate something serious over to them. And then sometimes if you are that person, that's always aggressive in your approach to somebody, watch this right here. You may want to take a softer tone. I hope this is helping somebody this morning. You may want to take a softer tone. So they say, well, listen, this person, they're coming to me differently this time. So we watch our tone, not just to tone down, but sometimes what? We need to tone up. I don't believe in screaming. I don't believe in hollering, but I do believe our tone, it will set the outcome for what we desire to happen. Watch this right here. One thing you got to recognize and realize, not only do we communicate with our mouth, but we do what? We communicate with our tone. We communicate with our body language. Sometimes when we are passionate about something, our tone can change. Our tone can change, and it could be interpreted in the wrong way or the wrong manner. There's some things you communicate, it requires a soft tone or softer tone, or then what? Or then what? It may be misunderstood. And there are some things that must be what? Communicated with a stronger tone in order to get your point across. Watch this right here. Number 5, our last one for today, and we're going to finish up on today. When we communicate, you must aim for a resolution. Somebody say aim for a resolution. You must aim for a resolution. I don't believe in just getting something off your chest. There's some things we do need to get off your chest, and that may be a part of it, but I don't believe that we should just communicate with people or say something to people just to get something off of our chest. If we are just getting something off of our chest, we still may need to deal with the same thing tomorrow. There are people that I deal with on a daily basis. There are folk I talk to every single day, and especially being a pastor, especially being in ministry, being in business, and working with different folk and all the kind of stuff like that. I don't have time to come back and rehash stuff, because then I find out, you know what, I'm wasting time, and I don't like to waste time. I like to make sure that the time that we're taking is very effective. I believe the time that we're taking, we should come up with a resolution. Sometimes we just want to say something. Sometimes we just want to get something off our chest. Sometimes we just want to be heard. But I simply believe that we should make sure that when we go to somebody and talk to somebody, we are looking for a resolution. Communication involves what? Involves getting a distinct resolution. Number one, you've got to know what resolution that you want. You've got to know the outcome that you want with your husband, the outcome you want with your wife, the outcome that you want with your children. You have got to know what you are looking for. And when you are looking for that resolution, I believe that this is the time to where what? Dialogue must happen, and dialogue must take place, because sometimes we feel like, well, listen, it's going to be easy for them to do that, but they may have a reason they cannot do what you are asking of them, because it's too hard, or they may not know how to do it. And even when we get back to talking about the tone that we take, they may feel intimidated because of the tone, or sometimes the tone that we take, they may not take us serious enough. And the thing is, we're still not getting where we want to be. But you've got to set the tone. You got to set the atmosphere in order for you to get the desired resolution that you need to the problem that you're trying to communicate to the other person, or the person's trying to communicate with you as well. And if there is something they say that they cannot do, you've got to communicate in such a way where, and find out how come they cannot do it. Find out how come they don't have the ability to get done what you need to get done. We should aim for a resolution. Communication is not about just getting your point across. It's about resolution, a resolution that will benefit both parties. I believe real communication is not about making someone come out on the short end of the stick. but it's about us coming up with a resolution that's going to benefit everybody. Even when I deal with my nieces and my nephews and other folk that's around me, one way that I communicate with my especially my nephew Daniel, and now my nephew Nick, I work with him on the weekends, of course. I say, listen, these are things that got to get done. And I said, I know you tired of me fussing. I know you tired of me coming back to you saying over again. I said, you go ahead and do it right the first time. You ain't got to hear me no more. I won't disturb your Facebook time. I won't disturb your TikTok time. I won't disturb I want to disturb your YouTube time. So if you just go ahead and do it right the first time, you ain't got to hear from me no more. And I make that very clear when I am communicating with young people. I know you tired of me coming to me. I know you want to sit down and play your game. I know you want to do all that. And the way that you're going to benefit from this, you're not going to have to hear me anymore. And I'm going to get done what I got to get done. So both of us, watch this right here. We have come to, listen, I'm going to go, I need to get this done. You're going to do it. And now we have a resolution. I ain't gotta be mad, and you ain't gotta be bothered. And I believe that works. And for me, it's worked, especially when my first nephew Daniel, when he was growing up, I would tell him, listen, if you go ahead and do it now, what you ain't got to worry about it. And now in his life, he has developed a reputation. If somebody asks him to do something, he go ahead and get it done. He get it done, then he don't wait, so he can go ahead and do it and get back to what he is doing. Communication is very key. If we're going to have successful relationships in this Christian life, we must learn how to effectively communicate. Remember, communication, it is not selfish. These 5 steps, once again, number 1, be open-minded. Number 2, be quick to listen. Number 3, get an understanding. Number 4, watch your tone, because your tone, it can also determine your outcome. Number 5, you have got to be willing and aim for a resolution. Listen, it's my prayer that today's 7th Saturday has indeed been a blessing to you. If it's been a blessing to you, please make sure that you share it with somebody else. There's somebody out there that's struggling with their communication skills, and I believe that this is a jump start for them to get on the right road as they begin to communicate with their loved ones, with their families, and in all types and kind of relationships that they have. Listen, God bless you. I love you, and I want you to make sure that you like this video, you comment. Everybody that's tuned in, please go ahead and comment, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Every single Saturday, I will be coming to you at 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time for 7 Saturdays, because I want to make sure that you can indeed make the right judgment calls in your life so you can have a good, wonderful, and some great outcomes. Until next Saturday, may the Lord God bless you and yours real good.